Good evening. Well, given the COVID.
How are you?
How are you?
Howdy. So, y'all look good looking as always.
That hasn't changed.
Beautiful. So, do you want Bishop in with you?
Not opposed.
Up to you.
I mean, I don't think you came here to not. Did you come here to not participate?
No, but it's still your choice.
Your choice. And then we'll have you guys come in.
Okay, great. Hello, sir. I don't think I know you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Am I here?
Yeah, you're right there.
He grows a good beard.
Except for the patchy spots.
Yeah.
I envy people who don't have patchy spots.
Yeah.
Congratulations on Olivia's graduation.
Thank you.
Quite an
Good job to
accomplishment.
her.
Kinda cool.
In spite of a pandemic, she done it.
You good?
Yeah.
Well, shall we begin?
Please.
Are you ready to start?
I am.
Okay. So, I've asked President to give us an opening prayer. You okay with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for Thy kindness and tenderness, that we can be Thy children and know that Thou art there and that Thou loves us. Now we ask Thee at this time if Thou will be with all of us in this room, and we can all think clearly and be compassionate and kind and understanding and have the intentions to understand. We ask Thee if Thou be with Brother Pinson, with Sam, that he's able to share the desires of his heart. We pray for each of us that we can share the desires of our hearts as we're all guided in doing so. We ask Thee if Thou be with us, and we thank Thee for our Savior, Jesus Christ, and we love Him. I'm grateful for all He has done for us. We ask Thee these things at this time in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Well, you know how this works. You've been here.
Yes. So, with some modifications, normally there would be a high council speaking for, in defense of, and we don't have that.
We don't have that.
Though we could have.
We could. Would you feel better about that?
You preemptively said they would not be attending, so I didn't bother to ask. I don't want to reschedule and
You don't want to reschedule?
do it again. No, that's okay.
Okay. Well, the goal today, as you're aware, is to determine where you're at with things. I read a Facebook post that you put how to not apostatize from the LDS Church. And, it assumed that we are going to excommunicate you or withdraw your membership.
The letter you sent said that this council will consider your actions against the church as apostasy.
That's where we're at.
I mean, so it sounds like a foregone conclusion, which is fine, but it just seems different that you're presenting it like we're going to consider rather than we've already decided.
The evidence, Sam, is strong. But, again, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your intent. We want to hear why you're doing what you're doing. We want to hear what your goals are for the future. And if we're not satisfied that it validates membership withdrawal, then it doesn't. And we want to hear from you. Our goal today is, again, to ask you to stop the Facebook stuff. But, we've asked you multiple times to stop. And I know you don't have to, and you probably won't. But we want to get on the same page with you. We want to hear from you face to face. I'm tired of reading. I want to talk to you. That's a mountain of paper. And so
we got to save the planet, so this got to stop one way or another.
This is big, and this has come from multiple sources. And so I'm very aware on where you're at with things, and you've known that. I've been very clear when I text you, when we talk. And so we're just what I'd like to do is ask you a series of questions, yes or no questions first. And then I'll let you speak. I'd like to do that.
So I thought first the charges against me were presented, and then I get to say,
yeah, we'll get there.
So we're doing pre-questions before that?
I'm just giving, not right now. I'm just letting you know what I'd like to do. And then we can move forward. So, officially, the charges that are set against you are apostasy and a public attack on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Public attacks on our prophet, President Nelson, on Joseph Smith, and on our Savior Jesus Christ. Do you acknowledge that and agree with it?
So, apostasy is a cause for holding a membership council. I deny that charge, and will provide my explanation and response. I didn't see anything in the handbook about attack on the prophet as cause for a membership council. So that's the first time I've heard that's the basis as something separate from apostasy. Are you lumping that in with apostasy? Okay, so if that's apostasy, I deny.
So we'll look at the evidence that we've gathered. We'll listen to your wife and I guess your 2 children in regards to that. We'll ask Bishop questions. We'll continue to ask you questions, and then we'll make our decision. Are we comfortable? You'll have the opportunity to deny that at the end,
sure,
just like before.
And I may or may not answer your questions.
That's fine. You have that right. But I appreciate you being here. And our friendship goes way back. I love you.
Mutual.
I look at you as a friend.
Good.
And I have no ill feelings towards you. So can I go through some of my questions and then you can ask questions? But here's the one thing. I want to make it clear. We're not here because of doctrinal differences. That is not why we're here. And I'm not gonna get in an argument with you over what is doctrine and what isn't. That is not what we're doing, first and foremost. We're here because we have asked you, as officers of this organization, to stop publicly attacking our church. Now, let me put it this way, too. As an employee of if I was out yelling on Facebook that was awful, that the CEO is awful, and the board is awful, what would they do to me?
Well, I suppose it would depend on the basis of your, why are you saying that?
They would fire me in a heartbeat.
What if the CEO was corrupt and you became privy of that? It would be your duty to call out in every way you could, right?
Right. If that's true, but still, I would be excused from...
Perhaps, for a time, then you'd sue them and you'd be restored to employment if you wanted it.
If I wanted it, right. So, we've asked you as officers of this organization many times to stop. You've chosen not to. And you keep going. And I know it'll keep going. And that is your choice. But, as officers of this organization, we are going to move forward and make these decisions based on your answers, based on the history. This past year has been eventful. And I've learned a lot. I've seen a different side of Brother Pinson that I haven't seen before, which is okay. But we're going to have that kind of discussion. Okay.
I'd love to hear more about what side of me you feel like you've seen that you didn't see before.
Well, that'll be a good discussion another time. Okay? Yeah. But let's begin with these questions.
And you said that I will also have an opportunity to ask questions. I didn't anticipate that.
If you want.
Okay.
I'm welcome to questions. I'm welcome to conversation. But again, your questions, if it comes to doctrine and all that stuff that we've discussed on text, we can go in a circle all day long.
But I don't think I have any desire to get into any kind of philosophical discussion, but I'm sure I can. I didn't prepare any questions, but, I have a couple of questions that I didn't expect I'd have the opportunity to ask, but sure, I'll ask and maybe I'll think of some others.
Okay. So are we ready?
Sure.
Do you consider yourself a Christian?
I do not.
Okay. So you do not believe that Jesus is the Savior of the world?
No, I don't.
Okay. So do you believe that Jesus is a racist?
Yes.
Okay. Are you angry with this so-called Jesus in your mind?
So whether there was a historical figure named Jesus who was a religious progressive and rebel a few thousand years ago, well, like whether that was a historical event or not, I don't know. Was this person half God and turned water into wine and walked on water? I don't believe that at all. So am I angry at a human who may have existed a few thousand years ago and had some following? No, and I don't see why I would be or what the point would be.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. And we're not being recorded in any way, are we?
No.
Okay. The next questions I have is regarding baptism and temple covenants. And I can already kind of tell where we're going with this, but I'm going to ask them anyway. Okay. If you don't believe in Christ, I assume you don't believe in baptism. You don't believe that someone needs to be baptized.
Not at all.
Not at all. Do you believe in God?
No, I don't.
So you believe in evolution?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's yes.
Good. That's what I want to hear. So do you believe that you and your family can be sealed for time and all eternity? Is that something you believe in?
I don't know if there is anything after death. I don't believe that I have any reason to believe that there is. I don't know that there isn't. I really don't believe that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has any kind of moral authority to declare anything or seal or split apart or anything like that in life or after death.
Fair enough. So how do you think families, what is family to you?
What is family?
I mean, do you
I love my wife and my children.
And kids?
Absolutely.
You think death is what happens after death?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't.
You have no strong feelings about it?
Best information and expectation that I have is that's the end.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, now I have Facebook questions.
Oh.
And it's obvious ones, but I'm going to ask anyways. Do you have a Facebook account?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you help others come unto Christ by what you post on Facebook?
I don't have that goal in any of my activity. I don't know.
Okay, so that's a no. Do your questions on Facebook bring someone closer to Christ, or does it create contention?
I have no desire to create contention. That's never been my purpose in posting on Facebook.
Okay. Would you say that people are hurt by some of the things you say?
Oh, yeah. There's people who've been hurt and who have attacked me and mocked me and my wife. And so, I hope that you've read all of that.
I have read every single word.
And you said that I've attacked people. I would love for you to point out to me where I've attacked people. I have absolutely attacked false ideas, harmful ideas. I've never denied that. I think those things need to be attacked. And where people have been hurt, it's when, and I was there. I was hurt when the church got attacked. I was hurt. But now I think I've been able to take a step back. And if in any other area of life, I was open to criticism and attack without taking it personally. Somebody could attack my politics. They could attack my candidate. They could attack my country, criticize it. There's this inability or this intolerance to accept criticism of the church. And so people take it personally and they get hurt from that. And so I would repeatedly in my Facebook activity I'm sure you've read that I've tried to explain to people, I am not attacking you. I am attacking this false idea. So I never intended to create contention. I tried to de-escalate when it seemed like things were escalating.
Did you ever reach out to members of our congregation one-on-one and give them this information? I
met with friends personally in order to explain where I was. Friendships that I wanted to maintain, I met with them, yes, to explain where I was because I wasn't going to be seeing them in church anymore.
So, and you gave them information that you wanted them to see.
I met with you, and I explained to you where I was. It was a similar conversation like that. Okay. I explained, hey, just so you know, this is what happened to me, and this is where I am.
Okay. And so I've had reports of, and again, this could be false. I'm just coming to you, going to the horse's mouth. But I've had reports that you've reached out to leaders in that ward and given them information. So you're saying that is false.
I did meet with friends.
Okay.
I don't think I've said no to that.
No, I just...
And I don't know, like, specific people or... I don't... This is such a generality. I can only guess what you're talking about. And so I'm saying, yes, okay. I have met with friends, and I have explained, like I met with you, yeah. I have explained things that I learned and where I am now.
Okay. And do you enjoy creating debate? I mean, you're a master of debate. I think that's a talent you have. But do you like the debate and the argument on Facebook?
I do enjoy a good, healthy discussion. Debate. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't enjoy contention. I don't enjoy insulting or hurting people, and I try not to do that. But I believe that the truth emerges when ideas can compete with one another. When debate and discussion is not allowed, something that doesn't seem right about that situation.
Can I ask one question? Who determines truth?
I don't think... So, this is... I don't know if loaded question is the right word. On the one hand, nobody determines truth. Truth just is. I've had somebody say to me that God determines truth. And that was a new concept to me. I never thought God couldn't say triangles don't have three sides anymore, right? A triangle just by definition has three sides, and God can't make it otherwise. I always believed that God was God because he embraced and understood all truth. It wasn't that he decided what truth is. Truth exists independent of God. At least the God that I ever understood and worshipped, that was his relationship with truth. He did not determine what it was.
Let me ask 2 follow-up questions. Is it possible that I can be 100% sure that I know the truth and that's not accurate? Is that possible?
Can somebody believe that they know what the truth is, and can they be wrong about that? Absolutely.
Is it possible that you could be 100% sure that you're right about something and it's not accurate?
Sure.
Okay, I just want to say that.
So
and I have been. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, and thank you. So, there is a probability you're wrong, and there is the probability I'm wrong. And who's going to determine that, right?
Well, so, yes, I have been wrong about things that I felt very confident about, and I don't think that I know everything now. I do have information now that I didn't have before, and we can get more into that later if we want to. But I think that there are some things that, so yes, our senses are limited and they can be deceived and everything, and our eyes can trick us and all of that. But going back to like the triangle kind of thing, if the definition of a triangle is 3-sided polygon, and we agree on that definition, and then you tell me I saw a 4-sided polygon, a 4-sided triangle once, I don't need to wait until the next live or like go and pray about it or anything. I know that I'm right and you're wrong, and that's like a settled case. So I think that there are some issues where it's a settled case like that. It's very clear, and then there are other issues where if you want to put it beyond the reach of my senses and logic and everything, sure, who knows? Like, I can't.
Well, I think
that makes sense.
You kind of know where I'm getting. I'm getting to the point that I'm hurting today for you and your family. And I'm trying to emphasize the fact that you could be wrong about all this.
So, all this, we'd have to get into more specifically what you mean by all
The
this.
decision you kind of decided to do.
I feel with such confidence that it is the right decision, that I am where I am, right? I have made the decision, and I don't have any regret. I don't have moments of doubt where I think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should go back. Maybe
Not anything at all.
not at all. No. And I'm ready to roll the dice, if that's the way you want to think of it, and stake my eternal salvation on that. And I would love to get into some specifics, like where I think it's clear cut.
So let me ask you your intent. I've always been curious. And we've talked about this before, but you kind of opened that door just now. Why are you going through all this? Why are you here? Why on earth? And you're going to have to do a very good job of convincing me here. Because I do not believe for a minute that your intention is what you're going to say it is. And I'm curious to see. But, and I'm just going to say that, Sam, why don't you just take your names off the record of the church? And why do you want to be a martyr for your cause?
So you asked a lot of questions there. I love the truth. I don't know if that's the thing that you said you weren't going to believe that I was going to say. I love the truth. When I was in the church, I was zealous for the truth because I thought that I had it. And I have learned that the church withheld information from me. They lied to me. They told half-truths. And so my love for the church, my love for the truth never changed or wavered in all of that. When I dedicated all my time, energy, and talents to the truth that I thought existed in the church, now that I don't believe it exists in the church, that didn't change my devotion to the truth and my desire to share it with others. So that's one part of it. Another part of it is, so many people have said just that. Like, if I decided that the church wasn't true, I would just walk away. I would just leave it alone. That kind of response, and I said the same thing when I was inside the church. I didn't understand, and it's this pat phrase that we say is they leave the church, but they can't leave it alone. But when you're on the other side of the fence, I think it's more surprising that anybody could ever leave the church and leave them alone. And plenty of people do. Not everybody gives the church another thought after they leave. I will tell you, I think the more invested and the more devoted and the more converted that somebody is when they find out the things that have been hidden, then the more likely they are to, as you put it, to have an obsession about fighting against the church, right? And I find that curious because it wasn't an obsession when I was faithfully serving as a bishop, right? When I served a full-time mission, right? Why is that not an unhealthy obsession to the Lord's kingdom? And suddenly now it is. It's the same Sam who's standing up for the truth, right? So there's not some kind of change. I haven't been taken over by Satan, right? We're not claiming that. And the behavior is no different. How many hours a week did I spend in the church building and agonizing over and thinking about and working on building up the kingdom, right? Yeah. It's consistent. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't feel like I answered all your questions.
Right. No, you're fine. But is it safe to say, Sam, that from my perspective, now you need to know the history of me just a little bit. I've been on the other side of this fence. So you've concluded
that the church was a fraud.
I came from the opposite direction. I did not believe at all. You've come the opposite direction than I did. So we've switched sides.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me speak. So I'm just trying to understand, and it's just hard for me to understand the intent when I've seen in your post that you're going to write a book about your journey. and there isn't a hidden agenda of money. Are you going out trying to sell a book?
Did I ever use the word book?
You have said that in your post.
Okay.
You were going to sell a book.
I don't think...
write a book.
Yeah, I don't recall using the word book. I may have. I never... never... If you tell me I said the word book, I believe you. I don't think I ever used the word sell.
No, I'm just curious.
Yeah, so no, there's never been any thought about profiting by any of this activity. Not at all. Like, I work for a living. I need to make money to provide for myself and my family. Absolutely. So I am motivated by money. The activity on Facebook has nothing at all to do with money. I promise you that. Never crossed my mind at all. And if I said the word book, what I meant was more like just a one-time written explanation of what happened to Sam that I could give to my family and friends, anybody who wanted to know. So I don't have to explain it all to them all over again.
Before the day was over, I'm trying to find out what is driving Sam.
And I'm telling you, it's the truth.
And I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. But do you see that from some of our perspective, including family members, and we've talked about this, when you make general statements out there, and they're hurtful statements in general to the church, calling the prophet a liar, calling Jesus a racist, going after that, how it does hurt your family members and us. You put us in that category. You put us as believers. We believe and we're closed-minded.
Mm-hmm.
You do those sort of things, how it makes us feel. Do you understand how that looks and feels?
So let's talk about each one of those things point by point. So I, in a conversation with you recently, indicated that that's a closed belief system. I didn't use the word closed-minded.
Okay.
Closed belief system,
okay.
Which is not a term I made up. If you tell me there's no information that I can receive that will change my beliefs, that is a closed belief system. And many people have such a belief system. So if they received evidence that the church was a fraud, doesn't matter. That's not going to penetrate their belief system. They will only consider the information that validates, right? So it was just I was just reflecting back to you what you said. And so maybe you overstated or something. Maybe there is evidence that you would receive that would change your mind. So, okay, so I'm not trying to offend you, but if there's nothing that you could learn that would change your belief system, you have a closed belief system. And so it's just like saying you wear glasses, right? It's just a factual statement about what you told me about who you are. I have an open belief system. If I receive new information that somehow persuades me that I am wrong about all of this, I'm ready to come back. I'm ready to be 110%, 200% back in tomorrow.
It's going to happen, but it's going to be a while.
Well, I'm honestly telling you, that's how I feel. And I wanted the church to be true. As I was learning all of these things, these are more misconceptions that I believed at some level when I was inside, and I have heard it so many times being on the outside. You just were looking for an excuse to leave. You just didn't want it to be true. You were just tired of being righteous. You couldn't endure to the end. Like, nope, that's not it at all.
Can I give you some advice as a friend, and you and I got to watch, you know how much I care about you.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, if I didn't care about you, this would be easy, but it's not for me. But you're going to offend a lot of people in America saying some of the things you're saying, and there's no way you're going to convince them when you say things like, Christ is a racist, that God doesn't exist. If you proclaim that on Facebook, you're going to make a lot more enemies than friends. And I just worry about you going through all that.
So you're concerned that I'm going to be in danger?
No, or I don't think you'd be in danger.
That I'm just going to...
You're going to be making a lot of enemies.
Okay. I think I have. I think that there are... I will tell you, maybe you've seen it in the Facebook activity, there are people who have blocked me on Facebook and unfriended me because they could not abide their beliefs being challenged. And so I have lots of values. Like, I still have a value system. I didn't leave the church, lose my faith in God, and then start killing and raping everybody, right? I still have a value system that includes valuing friendships and valuing other people, but the truth is at the top, right? So my activity has damaged my relationship with family members. My parents, siblings, it has damaged that relationship. And there are plenty of members of the church who fake it. They don't believe, but because they don't value the truth above all else, they would rather not make waves, right? So that's just me. I'm prepared in the name of truth to, I guess, take one for the team. And if truth isn't our overriding value, then all kinds of horrible things happen in society.
Are you the only one that can determine truth? I mean, why are you?
If I determine, and so that you asked earlier who determines truth, and I answered half of that. So on the one hand, nobody determines what truth is, right? Truth exists independently of God and anybody and everything. Then on the other hand, we have the coming to know, how do you come to know truth? And everybody has to do that for themselves, right? So you have to, with your senses, your faculties, you have to determine what the truth is in the same way that I do. And we don't all arrive at the same conclusion. So I'm operating based on the best information that I have in defense of the truth.
So I'm still stuck. I mean, you've told me why you just haven't taken your name off the records of the church. And you're still doing this, but I'm still struggling with that, Sam.
What did I tell you was the reason why?
Well, you just said that, until you're on the other side of the fence, you don't get it. It just seems like you're gung-ho to just prove a point and drive it down. And I'm still not sold on it. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out why we get handed the letters of resignation because people don't believe and they go their way versus you attacking and coming and coming and coming. Mm-hmm. We're here. You could have written a letter and said why you're leaving and then said adios and I'm going to get on Facebook and do what I want to do. Great.
Sure.
But why come at us? Is it because, you mentioned I read something, 40 years and money I've wasted and do you want the church to come to you and say, I'm sorry, here's a check, here's a refund?
Will you?
Well, is that your point?
I think that would be fantastic. If you write a check right now, I'll resign immediately.
But because they've taken so much money in your time, you want to just go after us.
So
is that right?
I didn't finish answering. Like, you asked a whole bunch of questions at the beginning there, and that was kind of one of them that I didn't get to address.
You've been robbed. You feel like they took my money and they should be held responsible. They should come out and tell me. They should give me money. You just have that kind of.
I have zero expectation that I'm going to get a refund of my tithing, but try to do a thought experiment with me. Imagine that you concluded, like I have, that the church was founded on a fraud. That your entire life, all the time and all the effort, all the tithing and everything that you've given was on false pretenses. I think you'd be upset. I think you would want all of that to change. I have zero. I can't get that back. I don't think I'm going to get that back. But
is that what's driving it?
So I don't think it's one thing. There are many, many aspects of it. I told you the most important one is my love for the truth. Okay. So because I believe the church is a fraud, is it the rational, logical thing to do that I learn that it's a fraud, right? Anybody involved in a fraud who's actively being defrauded, they don't know what's going on. and the people who figure it out extract themselves from the situation. So that's where I am. Is it logical and responsible and kind for me to quietly walk away? Or would the honorable thing to do be to try to warn other people about the fraud that's being perpetuated on them? I know you don't see it that way, but maybe at least you can understand what's motivating my behavior.
That's what, I guess if you want to call my obsession. Because like I said, I've been on your side of the fence.
You said that? I disagree.
We'll have to have a different discussion about that. But, trust me, I've been there.
Everyone's journey is different. We both have been not against the church thinking it wasn't right at different points in our lives.
I'm going to tell you that. Now, we're just going to go there. You don't know me from Adam, so don't go there. Now, let me just...
But you're telling me that you've been where I am. And I'm telling you, you have not.
So, I'm trying to understand you the best I can. Because frankly, what if I was to go into this room and say, I'm not going to excommunicate Sam, I'm not going to take his name off the church? What would you do?
One of my questions is, what do you hope to gain from this membership council?
One way or the other, we're going to get to the bottom of things. And I want to know what's going on with Sam in his mind. So, that's why I can't leave this alone. Why? Why are you forcing this? Why are you pushing this? Why can't you just...
I'm sure I could come up with additional reasons, but what I've said so far doesn't register, doesn't click
believe it
at all.
I mean, I believe part of you.
You don't believe that I'm motivated by sharing the truth, I believe it and as I understand. Okay, you do believe that. Yeah. You don't believe that, as I understand the church to be a fraud, that it makes sense for me to try to warn other people.
Well, that's your opinion.
Sure, and you don't. Right. So all of this is based on my perception, my understanding.
You want to scream to everybody, this is a fraud. You are being cheated. They're robbing you blind. I want to let everybody know what's going on.
As I said, there are many...
You want to stay a member of the church?
I don't want to stay a member of the church.
Just making sure.
There are many facets of it. Those are two. Okay. The church is harmful. Apart from the money and everything, and I've had, maybe you've read in there,
the service the church does, all the social ways it benefits people, all the ways it helps people, that's all harmful.
So hang on. I did not say, and I do not believe, that the church is all bad, right? That there's no good that comes from the church. That's not what I'm saying. But there is real harm that comes to many people from the church. And I know that this isn't necessarily some kind of back and forth, but do you not see that? I had people on Facebook tell me, the church harms nobody. Seriously? Do you not think that the church has ever harmed anybody?
So I think people are, we're not perfect.
And I don't mean a bad bishop or a bad stake president. I mean the church as an institution. The ban on temple ordinances in the priesthood for the blacks. Not harmful to people in the past, not continuing to be harmful now, hasn't been disavowed, by the way. It was the racist teachings, not the priesthood ban, that was disavowed. Maybe because, I don't know, when I was in, it went over my head, too.
And don't go there.
Can I just ask a personal question?
Don't say it goes over our head. Let's be careful.
I'm telling you what... Okay, I said two. When I was in the church, I did not understand how harmful some things in the church are.
And related to that, don't you think, Sam, when you were a bishop, you saw more good things than you saw bad things because of the church? I think that was the case.
I think it depends on who you are and if the church is working for you or not. I think there's tremendous... So first of all, at the lowest level, it's not real. It's a fraud. And so, yes, absolutely. So spinning up this story that then creates good, like Santa Claus, not real, but is there any good that comes to children from believing in it? Some people would say, yeah, it's a magical anticipation of presents and everything. All the good that comes from that lie that we spin up to tell people, right? So whatever everything that is unique about Mormonism, I would say is not good. And that's maybe that's an offensive thing.
Be quiet. I'm just stop. This is my last comment because I need to present. By the way, I do like your new glasses.
Thank you.
They're new and I like them. If you look around at a lot of the research that non-LDS have done, time and time again, they will tell you that LDS people are usually happier. People that believe in God, same thing, are happier. They're more well-adjusted. They stay away from alcohol. So I'm not going to have a debate with you, but I'm just telling you the research that's not done by LDS people says that there's a lot of good things that happen because of what they do and the way they live their lives.
And what is good about Mormonism is not unique. So if there's some study that shows that people who stay away from alcohol are happier, healthier, there's a temperance movement, right? It's not only Mormons who recognize the health risks of alcohol and avoid it.
So would you be, are you going to go to every domicile or every church and talk to them this way? Are you going to go to the Jehovah's Witnesses and claim they're a fraud? Are you going to go to...
No, I think they are a fraud.
Are you going to go to all these religions and say they're frauds?
This is where I popped into this universe. This was my experience. This is my area of expertise. I'm not an expert on Jehovah's Witnesses.
Every religion, every theology on the face of the earth is a fraud. You're just not saying the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud.
I'm not an expert on all of them, but everything that I do understand about them, or I think I understand about them, leads me to believe that they're fiction. Yeah, that they're a creation.
Just so I understand, you're claiming to be atheist.
Yes, I am an agnostic atheist.
Agnostic atheist.
I'm not claiming that I know that there is no God. I don't know. I don't think I have any reason to believe that there is one. So you blend those together, and that's agnostic atheist.
Good. So, if we were to come back and said, changed your mind, we want him to be a member of this church, what would you do?
I don't know.
You don't know? Would you take your name off the record of the church?
I don't think so.
You just leave it as is. You're forcing our hand is what you want to do.
I think that's your burden to bear. Not you personally, and I want to point that out. I love all of you. I don't have any kind of... You've been using the word attack us. I am not attacking you. I'm attacking some very specific ideas. I think the church has done some very immoral things. It's done immoral things to me personally. So that's all part of what's motivating Sam Pinson. I'm not attacking you.
And I get that. I do. Because outside of this discussion, we carry good conversations and we're friends. I'm just giving you my perspective and my little viewpoint of this whole thing as well as I do this. And President did the same thing as he warned you. I have family members that are in your shoes that think I'm an absolute fool for giving my time and my money and all this to this church and this cause. But looking at it again, like I said, I understand what you say your intentions are, but I don't see them pounding down the door and trying to get on Facebook and yelling like you are. But that's them, not
Sure,
you.
Yeah, everybody's different.
Everybody's different, and so that's what I'm trying to understand. Is I want to understand Sam, and I want to understand how your children and your wife understand feel about that. I know at the beginning it caused a lot of hardship. Did it cause hardship in your home?
There was some heartache, yeah. And that's one of the ways that the church is harmful to people.
Go ahead.
Mixed faith marriages, high chance of divorce. It creates great contention within a home. And when I first started speaking to Sara about, hey, I have these concerns, I'm feeling this way, and we were at the point of, I'm not going to church anymore. I don't believe in God anymore. She was trying to be a supportive and hopeful wife and said things like I think it's going to be okay. And I would have to point out that that's great that you think that. That's not what the church teaches. The church teaches that I'm going to be separated from you. I'm going to be alone and damned. You will be assigned to some other worthy man after this life. And on, and so many more things. Like, because I ceased to believe, ceased to keep my covenants that I'll give everything to the church, I'm now out of that family unit. My children won't be mine. My wife won't be mine. That's what the church teaches. So if you can imagine that dynamic in a family, it's terribly destructive.
And now, how was your family life?
Fantastically unified. Never been more unified or happy. It's wonderful.
So you think you manipulated that? Or you drove that? Or do you think that they heard you, believed you, and are following you?
I don't think I manipulated anything. And you can ask them and talk to them. I didn't compel my wife or my children at all. I said what I thought. I shared things that I had learned. We had conversations. I never lied. I never tried to apply pressure, withholding love, or any kind of unrighteous dominion to get them to change their mind. And they didn't change their minds. They kept going to church. This isn't a Sam Pinson problem. This is what's the foundation of the church problem. I would not have stayed in the church as long as I did if all of the messy stuff hadn't been kept from me. So there's the money, there's the lying. Do you like being lied to? I don't like being lied to. The church doesn't live up to its own standard of honesty. And the church, it's funny, taught me to be an honest person.
Interesting. Well, do you have any questions?
I just have a thought, maybe a question. In the beginning, you said that this membership council already had a foregone conclusion.
Just based on the statement there.
The statement didn't say that it was foregone. It says we're meeting to discuss it. But my point is, there is no foregone conclusion going into this, Sam. There just isn't. We haven't pre-decided anything.
Great.
Now that we're in this and we listened to you, you made the statement that you don't want to be a member of the church anymore. Yet you want the church, not us, to make a decision for you not to be a member.
Yes.
Is that what you want?
Is that
pretty much
overall? Is that what it is?
So, I think the truth is antithetical to the church. The truth is
that word was way too big for me. Explain what antithetical means.
The church. The truth is a problem for the church. The truth is poison to the church. And so there's the charge of apostasy, which we haven't really, I don't feel like we've addressed yet. Like, there's the definition of apostasy in the handbook. I did prepare a response to that, and you're probably thinking, why in the world is he denying the charge of apostasy with everything else that he's saying? If you want to hear my response to the charge of apostasy, I'm happy to share with you. It's brief, but
it was kind of like, hey, we're going to hear from Sam. I wonder where this is going to go. In fact, and I've got the information. I think I understand you. I don't want to be a member anymore. I want the church to take my membership away. And so, we would have gone down that road. But now I'm sitting here going, I don't need to hear from anybody else unless Sam wants me to hear from him. He wants to be done. So we'll be done. Do you want to be done?
I would. I wasn't going to come. And then I decided, I changed my mind, right? You saw on Facebook.
Why?
Because the truth matters.
Okay. So who's going to hear about this truth?
It matters just as much to us. I promise you that.
I'm glad to hear that. And I was where you are just 2 years ago. I don't think anybody's going to change their mind here with what happens today. You assured me that you've studied everything that I have,
I read a lot,
Yeah, and like, I don't know how you would know that, but let's just assume that that's true. And everything that I've been exposed to that has destroyed my faith, you have, and you assured me, everything that you've studied has strengthened your faith. And I asked this question, you didn't answer it. How does learning about the secret marriage of Joseph Smith to a 14-year-old, based on spiritual manipulation, how does learning about that strengthen your faith? And I have an open belief system. Maybe there's something that I didn't think of. Maybe there's some angle that was revealed to you.
You know, and I'm not going to go there.
We
talked about this. We've said we're not going to talk about doctrine. I have my belief.
I'm not. I didn't think that was a doctrinal question.
The history of the church. I mean, that's where you're hung up on. And I know Sarah's struggling with that too. And so, and lots of people.
So, sorry to interrupt. So, that strengthened your faith. There was some way that you received that it strengthened your faith, but you will not share that with me now, for some reason.
The reason why I'm here is based on Jesus Christ. The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is based on Jesus Christ. I can't share the experience I've had with Him. I won't share that. But the reason why I'm here is based on Him. Even if I told you, you wouldn't accept it. And so that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because of the experiences I've had that are so sincere and sacred. I can't go there. So, and you might say, well, why not? Just tell me. I'm not going to.
Yeah, okay. And I don't want to...
But don't you see how every one of us in this room could feel like if Jesus Christ came to the American continent and the Book of Mormon is true, if those two things are true, it doesn't matter how someone says some one person did something wrong. Or that all doesn't matter if Jesus Christ came to the American continent and the Book of Mormon is true. That's the one thing you can't convince us of. Now, you may be able to convince us of all these other things.
So, yeah. If you start with the premise that the church is true, then it doesn't matter what crazy stuff you become aware of. Either, I guess I'll figure that out in the next life, or I don't see the big picture or whatever, or it's a lie, that's an anti-Mormon lie, if you start with that premise. But this is a separate issue. And I hear you saying you're not going to answer my question, and I don't want to beat this to death, but just one more time, you said it's about Jesus Christ. Like, so you've had spiritual, sacred experiences.
I read the history. I know the history.
I'm trying to understand so you're reading the Book of Mormon, you have a spiritual, sacred experience, you get that witness that Christ came to the Americas, all of that. And then the next day, you learn that Joseph Smith married a 14-year-old. And you told me...
Whoever. They've said this happened.
This is on the church's website.
So it's like, in the same.
So you're saying this is... We can't be sure? Is that what you're saying? Is that we don't know whether he actually married a 14-year-old?
What I'm saying is if Jesus Christ came to the American continent and restored the Book of Mormon, that's what my testimony is about. That's what I'm saying.
And I sense that you want to move on. When you said that, it kind of blew my mind, and I'm sincerely curious. So the next day...
said, Sam?
But no, that's not what you said. You said learning about the secret marriage behind Emma's back strengthened your faith. And I don't understand. Please help me understand.
Everything that what Joseph went through strengthened my faith. Everything that he faced, everything that he's been through has strengthened my faith. Seeing what he was up against, what the persecutions he went through, everything, the whole story in general has strengthened my faith. And, say what you want about it. And that's your right, that's your opinion. But my core comes from the experiences that I've had with God in prayer, and the things I've experienced in prayer, and the veil being very thin in prayer. Now, call me crazy. Call me just delusional or whatever. But I can't go down that rabbit hole that you've gone down. I mean, you study all this, and tomorrow, let's just say Jesus Christ comes to you and says, stop. Just like Saul, what would you do? Stop. Just like Ammon the Younger, you would stop. I can't explain. I can't. Can't go there. I'm not going to. I promised I wouldn't. Not to the officials of the church that secretly told me not to, but I've had sacred experiences with the Lord that have me here. And so
I feel like you're not answering a question that I'm not asking.
Can I say one more thing? I realize you're stuck on this thing. I want to say one last thing. You said we had pre-made up our minds. I want to tell you once again, as a friend, I love you. I would not lie to you about this. When we met in here before this all started, President brought up the thought, and I'm not going to get this exact, President, but I'm going to get it close. We might not do anything today.
Yeah.
And you said 15 minutes ago or so, and you may even have it in jest, but if you wrote me a check right now, I would resign. That's the exact words you said.
I'll repeat it.
Yeah.
If you refund my tithing, if you refund half of my tithing.
You know what we said in that office? Kind of on. We're okay with everything you said you felt. That's not what this is about. But what we said in that office, if you would just quit posting everything on Facebook to the world about it, trying to get people all worked up, we'd let this go.
Yeah. And I said every time I've been asked not to post that I'm not going to stop posting.
Okay.
So, if that's the objective.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to say at this point? Because we're gonna move forward. I mean, like I said, our goal was not to have doctrinal challenges, issues. Your question about Joseph and the 14-year-old girl. I can't speak about certain thing. I can't speak for God. I can't speak why that happened. I don't know. But I do know that Joseph was a prophet of God.
Yeah, and
I do know that.
And I will accept.
And I'm not going to go further down that trail, Sam. I'm not going there. Because like I said, for 8 years I've had people come in over and over and over and shown me, maybe not everything that you've shown me, but because of my calling, I have faced the same things you have faced over and over with all this doctrine. I found this, I found that, I found this. What does this mean? I've seen so much. And, yeah, okay. My faith is intact. I love my Savior. I love how it makes me feel when I serve my Savior. I believe in Him. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to keep going. Plain and simple. And so, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your candor. I love you as a man, as a friend. I have extended this as long as I've tried to just let it go, let it go, let it go. I'm going to take a break. I didn't expect take a break meant this. But, okay, you found some things and it went out. But I expected to take a break. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go back and do some studying. Didn't expect the whole Facebook thing. But you know what? It is what it is. We're here. And you have your belief system. I have my belief system. Everyone has. We agree to disagree. And I'm okay with that. And the last thing I want to do, because of what I believe, is take your name off the records of the church. But you want us to. And so if you want us to, we'll move forward.
So
is that right? Am I safe to say that?
We gathered here to address charges of apostasy, which hasn't been addressed yet.
Based on the conversation, you've gone down and you've openly admitted, and we can pull up the minutes. You don't want your name on the record of the church.
Right.
You have said that, right?
So you are not going to hear my response to the charges of apostasy.
We don't need to, but I guess if you want to, you can.
You also accused me of attacking people personally. Do you have evidence to substantiate that accusation?
I've got a lot of things
because
that I feel I do.
Well, in my opinion, I feel
strongly
personal about all the stuff you said there about Christ and God. I think it's kind of a personal attack to me. That's my...
Okay, so I would say a personal attack would be like, is a terrible person. He's beats his children, right? That's a personal attack. Attacking your belief system or even your God might be offensive, but it's not a personal attack.
As a member of the church, that is personal. As another member of the church attacking the same God that we worship, the God that we love, the Savior we love, and you're a member of this church, you're a high priest and you're a bishop of this church, attacking him the way you attack him, that is personal for me. For me, that hurts.
I guess we have different.
We agree to disagree.
Different
and
definitions.
There are so many people now. If you're just a non-member who is saying this stuff, and you're an agnostic atheist,
then it won't be personal.
That's you. But you sat in this room. You sat holding the same priesthood that we claim to hold. You sat holding the same keys. You sat being a high priest. You've done these things as an officer of this church. You still are. You still are those.
And I am not. I am not an officer of the church.
You are a high priest, are you not?
I am not an officer of the church.
Are you an officer of this church? Are you a
If we call McConkey whatever law firm,
high priest, Sam? That's all I want to know.
That's my ordained priesthood office. I am not an officer of the church, right?
But let me finish. So that is the reason I take it so personal. Now, you've mentioned that you don't want your name on the records of the church. You've said that multiple times here. Okay? Okay. We're not going to stop that. We'll go down that road. We'll do that for you. But that is, and like President said, it was not a foregone conclusion. We were going to come here and listen to you. And if you wouldn't have said those words, honestly, I would have given it more time. But you have been very clear that you want this to be done. Okay. So why do we have to continue having the conversation? You told us it.
You accused me of attacking people personally.
And I told you how I feel about that.
And you accused me of apostasy, and now, as I understand it, you don't want to hear my response. Your prerogative, I suppose.
But Sam, not only you even said a few minutes ago that you would have been personally offended by some of the things you said too, though. You just got to tell us that.
Being offended by something doesn't mean that what is happening on the other side is actually a personal attack. Members of the church are conditioned to be personally offended when their belief system is challenged. That doesn't mean that it...
my family, I'm one of you as a member of the church. My family are Catholic. I mean, yeah, some members are that way, but let's not... I mean, you did say some, but let's not jump that everybody feels that way. I love my Catholic grandma and grandpa. I love my Catholic cousins. I love my non-member sister. I love them all. And I'm open to all kinds of theology and beliefs. The one thing, like I said, is I cannot allow another high priest to attack the church, to attack and say these things about my Savior who I worship, and my God who I worship, while he still is a high priest. That is why we're here. That is what I've been trying to get you to stop doing. But if you want to have your name off the records of the church, bam, so be it.
Well,
so can I make one comment? I'm going to state what I hear you saying. You have integrity that you don't attack people. But the statements or attack towards the church has been offensive to people. Is that an accurate statement?
I cannot control what other people take offense at. I have never tried to offend anybody that I have engaged in a conversation with.
So President's point's very valid from the previous position and the statements made to the church. You may not have attacked an individual.
The church is a fraud. I have...
You made that statement, and that's clear. So anyway, I was just saying that because it's important to your integrity that I see, and I may be wrong here, that you don't attack people. And you wouldn't attack a person. Is that what you were saying?
That is one of my values, and
I respect your value, the impacts of what's
I appreciate
the fraud of the church. you get the ripple of it. I think we understand both sides of that.
Thank you, brother. He's had that ability that, I mean, it's not that I look at you as someone doesn't have integrity. I mean, that's what I've even told you. I appreciate your honesty. I have always appreciated that. And that is what I love about you. And, you know, this is hard for me, Sam. I mean, this is because of what I believe, not because you're like, oh, knock it off. You know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but this is, the church is of God, this is what, okay, that's great, but it still hurts me.
And all of us will leave this room, by the way, loving you tonight, no matter what happens.
And so it's just interesting. I mean, I'm trying to understand Sam Pinson, like I said, but we love you. Now, let me ask you this question. The thought came to me when President Simpson was talking. So when you're asked, did the church force me out, or did I leave? What's going to be your response to someone asking you that question?
The church excommunicated me for telling the truth.
Okay.
And I won't be the first person that's happened to.
So even though you've said, I don't want to be a member, and my intentions were not necessarily to excommunicate you or withdraw your membership today, you would still say that? Do you think that's a little misleading?
No, not at all. And you haven't heard my explanation. But another question that I have consistently asked is, when you told me to stop posting, you've said what you're doing needs to stop. I've said, what false statements have I made? And that question has not been answered.
Well, and what truths have you made? How do you know?
I have shared direct quotes from leaders of the church.
What I've seen is you've taken the context out of their mouths and hasn't shared the whole story.
And this is something that I've been accused of many times, that I'm taking things out of context, and that's simply not true.
So you have your opinion of truth, we have our opinion of truth. Let's agree with that. Do you agree with that? If
you're telling me that I misrepresented the quotes that I shared from leaders, I do not agree with that. That would be dishonest. I have not taken these things out of context. You don't have to, where does the context stop? You don't have to include the entire conference talk in order to have the full context, right? When you share a snippet and you change the meaning, that's dishonest. That's taking something out of context, and I have not done that.
Okay, and I appreciate that. Okay, I hear you.
But as you tell your story to others, and you say you got excommunicated for telling the truth, you recognize that if you would have met with the president and said, I don't believe the church is true, and maybe even said that to a lot of other people, you would have got excommunicated for that. You're telling the truth. We wouldn't have excommunicated you. We're excommunicating because you're out on Facebook,
right, yeah,
saying all these things. That's what you're getting excommunicated. It's not for telling your truth. It's for.
I understand that, and that's like the best case scenario for the church. When somebody's eyes have been opened and they've discovered these things that have been hidden and they've been lied to about, the best case scenario is that they quietly fade away, that they don't take their name off the records of the church, membership numbers still there. That's what you want.
What if I leave it alone? What if out of you're going to go see what the one thing that I'm struggling with is you sat here and said 2 or 3 times, I don't want to be a member of this church. The church is a fraud. I don't want to be a member. But I think your goal is to have the church excommunicate you. Am I correct?
Yes.
And if I don't?
That'll be pretty funny. That you've.
What if I don't? What if I pull the Chris hat and just say, "Okay, I'm putting my calling aside," and out of spite,
yeah,
like Sam's being spiteful.
I expect we'll be back here again then, if that's the outcome.
So you would.
Oh man, that's silly.
So your goal. I'm not going to do that. Your goal is to have you able to say, you want to say, the church excommunicated
for telling the truth.
for telling the truth. You want those words.
People get excommunicated for all kinds of things. People can be excommunicated for serious sin. Apostasy is considered serious sin. I deny the charge of apostasy, and I could explain why, but this is actually going a lot longer than I thought it was going to go. People get excommunicated for murder, child abuse, yada, yada, yada. And people also get excommunicated for telling the truth. And
again, that's a hard line to define. But, it is what it is. You can say that. You can believe that in your heart of hearts, and I appreciate that. Appreciate it. That's Sam Pinson. So it is. So Bishop, is it okay if Bishop says something? Can I call him Bishop? Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you oppose the church?
The church opposes itself. So if I make true statements, does the truth oppose the church? Yes or no?
Do you oppose the church?
Does the truth oppose the church?
I'll take
the answer to that question, which apparently you're not answering. You've answered that before. You shared with me that some truths weaken faith. So there are some truths that I was sharing, not false statements. There were some truths that I was sharing that I should stop sharing. So the Mormonism that I always believed in embraces all truth. Brigham Young taught that every truth is for the salvation of man. So there can't be any truth that should be hidden from others, right?
You and I have talked hours and hours and hours about a lot of this. I just asked one simple question. Do you oppose the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, its teachings and its doctrine? Do you oppose that?
If you will answer my question, I will answer your question. Does the truth oppose the church?
That is based on, I can say it doesn't, you can say it does, yeah.
I've shared direct quotes
based on
from church leaders, not taken out of context. And that's what I'm in trouble for.
No, you're not in trouble.
No, the church does not oppose the truth.
Then I don't either. If the truth doesn't oppose the church, then Sam Pinson does not oppose the church.
No, it's interesting you just said you're in trouble.
Well, I don't know what word you want to use for
this for so long. I've had the feeling you wanted me to do this a lot sooner than I've done this. Is that true?
I've anticipated it. I've known it's been coming.
Did you want it to happen sooner than it's happened?
I feel like I've already answered that question.
I don't remember that. Did you? Should we have? In a perfect Sam scenario, did you want this in December, November?
The timing seems just right. Inspired.
Oh, Sam. Okay.
I'm not trying to be offensive.
I'm not offended. I just think it's funny. That's why
I think it's funny. There's some funny things going on here.
Everyone can see the intent here. And so, it's hard for me to move forward because I see what you're doing. And I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go out and claim something that's not true. And, okay, Sam Pinson got excommunicated for telling the truth.
Then you've got to convince me, or at least
I have to convince
you. What are the false statements? I maintain that I have only shared true things, and you say, well, truth is in the eye of the beholder. Like, how do you know? You've got your version, I've got my version. What are the false statements that I think are true that you think are false? What are they? Maybe we won't agree on.
Christ is racist.
Okay, I'd like to address that.
No, we're not going to go there.
So I can't defend the specific charges that you make against me.
You don't want us to. You want us to. You want us to excommunicate you.
I want to defend myself against the statement that I'm saying false things.
Well, our goal was not to go into doctrine. We wanted you to just ask if you would stop posting.
I will not.
As a member of the church. If you would stop posting. But obviously that is not your intent, and I know we see what your intent is, and so I think we're good. I think we have enough. We don't need to go into any more details. We don't need to listen to any more things. We see where you're coming from. We've heard you. We can go round and round over and over and over, but I think we're good. I think we're done. So
specific charges of me making false statements have been made, but I will not be given an opportunity to respond to them.
go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let you do that.
So I did say the God of Mormonism is racist.
Okay.
And so my defense is my explanation is very simple and straightforward. Racism is discrimination on the basis of race. If we agree on that, the God of Mormonism discriminates on the basis of race. Priesthood ban. It's all over in the scriptures. Therefore, the God of Mormonism is racist. Like, it doesn't even seem controversial to me.
So we knew you felt that way because we actually read a lot.
Yeah, we read that, and being, now if we're going to pull the race card, I mean, I'm Mexican, and or we could go down that road all the way we want, and so forth, but, okay.
I don't know what that has to do with the God of Mormonism or what you mean by that.
I guess if you're saying, then I'm cursed, right? Because of
I think the whole church is a fraud.
Okay.
The
But
church has
that's
taught
what I
that
mean.
the
I
Lamanites,
don't-
their skin would become white as they became righteous.
So I think we agree to disagree. So Joseph Smith is a fraud. We've already heard that from you. We already know that that's how you feel in your heart. President Nelson is a liar.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
President Nelson recently said, among other things, prophets always teach the truth. And that is something that I believed. And it actually led to me leaving the church because
No, you said you're leaving the church.
no longer attending, no longer believing,
Okay,
right?
So, okay.
The Race and the Priesthood Gospel Topic essay disavows past teachings that were presented as "Thus saith the Lord," like this is from God, right? So, no, President Nelson, prophets do not always teach the truth, and he knows that. Knowingly making a false statement is lying. Ergo, President Nelson is a liar.
Okay. I've heard you. Agree to disagree, but I've heard you.
Thank you.
What else would you like to say?
Well, with Joseph Smith is a fraud. You're familiar with the Kinderhook plates.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed to have translated a portion of a 19th century fabrication. Clear evidence of fraud right there. He was also convicted of fraud, illegal banking. He was constantly in trouble with the law because he was a fraud and breaking the law. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you'd like to say?
There was more here. That's good. Because I didn't expect this part would take this long. They're expecting to have an opportunity. I don't think they're going to say anything super long, but I would appreciate being like, it would be upsetting if I went out there and said, they're not going to hear you.
I was going to ask that question. What
I'm
you
okay
want
with
to
that.
do with your family?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been a long time. We could ask them, hey, do you still want to say something?
So do you want them to come in by themselves? How do you want them to, do you want to do a one-on-one, or do you want to be here with them, or how do you?
I would like to be here. You're the one making the calls. If they could all come in, that'd be great. I know the handbook says one at a time. Whatever you...
Why don't we just invite the three of them in, not have a big circus
see if they
here,
want
and
to.
then just
Would you
have them
see
come in?
President if they want to?
Can we have Sam go out in the hall and invite them in?
Yeah. Do we want to switch places?
That might be the best.
Have
I'm
them
not
come
gonna-
in, you go, and we'll hear from them.
I don't get to hear what they say.
You want?
Like,
Are you okay with that? Do you want to hear from them?
I think Sam should be here, whether we do one of them or all of them. It'd be nice for Sam to be here.
How would you prefer?
I don't know exactly what they're going to say. I would like to hear what they have to say,
Okay.
if that's allowed.
Fine with me.
Do you want them all here at the same time, President, or one by one?
One by one, all together.
I think it might go quicker and simpler if everybody came in, but whenever you want.
There you go.
Sit wherever you want.
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little longer than anticipated.
Yeah.
Thank you for being patient.
Thank you for being here. So, Sam said that you guys would like to say something. And so we'll just turn the time over to you and go from there.
Go ahead and start, sure.
Okay. I don't have anything super fancy to say. I guess within the parameters of what this meeting, as I understand it, is meant to be about, I'll just talk about what I see the relationship between my dad being an apostate and the church, and what the truth, what all of that means. So, obviously, as I understand it, or as I was taught, and as I believe the church's doctrine teaches, truth is essential to the church and everything that it believes in and teaches. And it seems to me that it would only be problematic for any member of such an organization which stands for the truth in such a manner to be sharing ideas or opinions if they were contrary to the truth. And as far as I'm aware, nothing that my dad has shared has in fact been contrary to the truth. As far as I'm aware, from all the sources, including those that do not explicitly agree with everything the church teaches, the church tends to be inconsistent, tends to be deceptive, has in the past changed or disavowed its positions on things without any regard for true truth. It seems that if there is any inconsistency in truth, it's not coming from my dad. It's coming from the organization that calls itself the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I guess to conclude, there's a German philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer, something along those lines. He says, all truth passes through three phases. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And thirdly, it is accepted as self-evident. I think that perfectly encapsulates the relationship, again, between what my dad has been sharing, what the church teaches, and what its stance is in this situation. I can speak somewhat accurately for my dad when I can say, if not ridicule, he certainly opposed or wished that some of the contrary things that he learned to the church's teachings hadn't been true. I'm sure that there was a time where he wished all the doubts and concerns could have gone away, although I'm sure that's not his position anymore. I'll just say that my dad has come to the point where he has accepted what he sees as the truth as self-evident, and frankly, I believe that the church does that on a consistent basis. We see the church consistently and continuously ridicule or oppose, violently or not, the truth, and then eventually come to determine that truth as being self-evident. So I hope that, obviously I don't think I have any power to change your perceptions, and that's obviously not the point of this meeting, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Incredibly well spoken.
Thank you.
You two have incredible kids.
Yeah.
You have a bright future ahead of you.
How old are you?
16, actually, recently.
Holy cow. I don't know how you learned to speak so well, but well done.
You know, and I want to make something real quick, real clear. I love you all. This is not personal. Your dad and I, we talked about that quite frankly today. And we all love your dad. And we're going to try to do what he wants us to do. And we're going to do that. So, Olivia, would you like to say something?
Yeah, hi. Hello. I'll just sit.
Yeah, that's fine.
When I was 13, I started to have questions. And they were questions like, why does the Book of Mormon say that? That sounds kind of racist. Or, why did the church used to say that and now we say this? And everyone's pretending like it never changed. Or, all these things are, everyone's saying this is God. But to me, I saw that God was subjective, and I didn't want to think that he was, because you're supposed to read scriptures, God is objective. So I was really young. I was 13, 12. I started to ask questions like, why do I feel this way about a girl at my school? And why is it supposed to be so bad that I feel this way? And I didn't have anyone to talk to. I mean, we just moved here. All my friends were, Mormon. My dad was bishop. So I was very, very trapped. And I know a lot about silencing. I know what it feels like to be silenced. So I'm not here to, defend my dad because he can do that. And I don't think he needs any defending. I mean, he's just sharing his perceptions. And I see a world where this doesn't have to be divisive. It doesn't have to be cause for exclusion. And it is right now. And the church is not going to go away. Obviously, there's so much good in the church, right? And that's why I was trapped for so long, because I wanted that good, and I still, the thing is, I have it still. But I just have a problem when I was silenced for so long. And, I mean, you wouldn't believe the amount of forgiveness it took when my dad left the church to be like, but you never listened to me all these years. You never listened to me. And I guess I guess just thinking about this, no one would have called 13-year-old me an apostate, right? But I was asking these same exact questions. But it's easier to control kids, and it's easier to, as a kid, pretty much everyone around you is an authority because they're all older and more powerful than you. And, these are just honest questions, and I appreciate people within the church who are willing to talk about them. I think that's really important, and I think the church isn't going to go away, and so we need sort of reform, within the church. It is going to stay, and I think that's okay. People need to acknowledge that. The church needs to be transparent and willing to talk about these issues. So I'm grateful for people who do that. That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And, just from me to you, I care about you. And I'm sorry that you felt that way at 13. And you're awesome. You are so intelligent as well. So thank you. Thank you for loving your father the way you love him too. He's awesome. All right, Sister Pinson.
Well, I feel like it's hard to know how to respond or what to say when I haven't been here the last hour and a half. So I'm not sure what has been said or what. But I guess I would just say, as I'm sure you all know, Sam is a person of integrity. Truth matters to him. I think both of us have been posting on Facebook in an attempt to increase awareness. I think that there's a pattern in the church of trying to control information, trying to paint things in a way that is not accurate. And I don't think that's fair. I think that people have a right to know, especially when they give 10% of their money, hours of their lives, make covenants. And so I feel like people should know. I feel like the church is trying to become more transparent. But that obviously there's still that pattern continuing because we're all here today. And I think when I look at the handbook, it sounds like the only thing he's done is be in opposition when both of you asked him to stop. I just don't feel like that anyone needs to ask him to stop, I guess. And so I feel like people are in charge of their own faith, and if truth disturbs that faith, that's something they need to look at, and I don't think that's on Sam. I can't think of anything else. And so I guess that's it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being patient with us as we spoke and discussed here. We didn't intend it to go so long.
Sorry.
It was fascinating.
For my role.
We just got going and we couldn't stop. So, again, we love you.
I love you.
And you're always welcome in my home, personal home. You're always welcome in my personal circle.
Appreciate that.
My compliment to you is it's obvious how much you love each other. And your dad, before you came in, got to express his love for his family. Your dad's a man of integrity.
That
And
is
he
true.
loves his family.
He does. He does. And he loves us. I don't feel that he has any hurtful thoughts or feelings towards us at all. And that is very clear.
Yeah, it's mutual.
So, thank you. Do you want us to proceed with them here?
No, we gotta do it alone.
We probably want to do it alone. Okay. So we're gonna.
I need to go out now and deliberate, or
We'll deliberate for maybe 5 minutes. And
how about if we let them go out and can we visit with Sam for just 1 second?
yeah, that'd
And
be
then,
fine.
then we'll let you go. That'd be okay? Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elbow bumps there. Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
My only thought was, and maybe this may not have been necessary, if there was anything else Sam wanted to
Okay, yeah.
comment, or after your family any comments.
There's plenty more we could talk about. It's
Comfortable.
taken longer than
Satisfied
we thought it would
with how
already.
things are, how they've been.
You're comfortable with what the outcome is most likely going to be, or not?
I think so.
I mean, based on your request, it makes it pretty easy. Doesn't mean it will be exactly that. Maybe something changes. But...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The thing that I really admire about you, Sam, is we have different belief structures, obviously, and we're both moving towards truth. And you've defined what you think. You haven't defined, you've identified what truth is as we go down and identify ours. But we're grateful for your friendship. All seriousness, that's just, and to be able to separate that, most people can't do that, Sam.
I have experienced the inability to separate that.
There'll be a lot of people that
in
can't.
this.
And it doesn't mean it's not hurtful to different things from both sides.
Sure.
But we know how to move forward. We know what's best for the church. We know what's best for your family.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I'm glad. I appreciate in everybody that it exists, I appreciate the ability to separate, like we disagree on this and that, but we can still value each other as people. We can still be friends. We still have a lot in common. And so thank you for that.
You know, I like that you see that we have something in common, because I would say that in my own circle of my family, I'm more of the one that goes with my beliefs. I'm not a follower in my own circle. I do what I feel is right. I do what I believe is right. And that we have in common. And I appreciate that. I've always told you that. I've been called strict. I've been called naive. I've been called a baby. I've been called all kinds of names in my own family circle because of how I live and how I want to live and how I do things. And so we can look at it and say we're very similar in that way. And it's hurtful. It's hard to stand up to your own mother and say, Mom, I don't agree. And the treatment you get from that is hard. And, it's difficult. So, there's a lot of similarities there. And, everything I've done has been done to try to reach out to you and love you. And give you enough time to make sure But I think you've known for a while what you feel and what you know to be true. So, I think this is overdue. If I'm thinking right, and we'll move forward. We'll do what you have asked the church to do, and we'll go and discuss that and make sure that all three of us are on board and come back and finalize this. President, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay, so we'll be right back. You can hang here, you can go in there, whatever you
Go
like
be
to
with
do.
your family.
Go be with them. Okay, we'll be right back. Thank you so much for being here tonight, for taking the time to be here. We appreciate it. First of all, we want to admit that the charge on apostasy was wrong. And, based on what you told us, how you explained those things, we understand. And, like President said, we were strongly considering not taking your name off the records of the church. But based on your conversation and your desire to have the church take your name off the records, you really wanted that tonight. We feel we are going to, because that's what you encouraged us to do. As you explained why you said those things and what you said, okay, those are valid points that can be argued right and left. And you have your opinion, I have my opinion. We were wrong. Your membership's not being withdrawn because of that. And it's being withdrawn because you asked us to. Because you want it to be withdrawn. And based on that being repeated over and over tonight, we will do that. So, it hurts me to say that. I don't want to do that. I have extended this as long as I possibly could. I've tried to obviously ask you to change and stop just because I know what other people will do and feel, and I just wanted you to be okay. But, as you've mentioned tonight, that you feel like you should voice, and that is fine. I mean, we can't stop that. We won't stop that. And you're right. Based on the evidence that we've heard tonight, it's a matter of opinion on those things. And it does, in the general terms, yeah, we can get offended by that, and other people can too. And so our walls go up. They do. But when we asked you, do you want your name to be removed? You said you want the church to remove your name. Okay. We can't keep that. That's what you want, so we'll do that. So, as effective immediately, then, you're no longer a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We love you. We will accept you back anytime you want to come back. We want what's best for you and your family. We don't want to see you unhappy, and if this brings you happiness, and you don't want to have your name tied to the church, then we will honor that, and we will move forward that way and go from there. Do you have anything that you would like to say?
Thank you. Thank you again for your friendship. I know the handbook also says that even after somebody has had their membership withdrawn or they've been excommunicated, that you are to continue to minister to them. I want to keep being your friends. I do not want any more, hey, you're contacting me as stake president, you're contacting me as bishop. I want to be your friend. But it's not I'm reaching out to Sam as bishop.
Fair enough.
Or as a common judge. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. By chance, you like golf?
I think the last time I played golf was as a scout when I was 16.
By chance, you like steaks? I'm a steak eater.
Steak is good.
Okay,
yeah.
so we can be friends for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Golf and steak and all of it. We did a tandem.
It's a mechanical tandem bikes where you sit down. It's
pretty cool.
We also have homemade horseradish in our fridge right now. It's really good on steak.
I'm not the very best at holding my horseradish. I mean, it
Well,
hits my sinuses and blows
He is
me
a
away.
good cook. He makes a killer rice.
Yeah, right. But we
And
hope
cheesecake.
Oh yeah.
And all of it, basically. Whatever he makes.
And
is
chicken.
good.
he needs to go start his own little shop or bakery or something.
That's Plan C.
Have fun.
Plans.
Hey, you really thinking of that?
What?
Are you really thinking of that?
Oh, no.
Oh no. I hope it doesn't come to that.
Well, we love you, and you are a wonderful family. We're so close together, and we just know this that because that's who you are.
Thank you.
So keep doing a great job of raising your kids.
And any of you can come to if you want to put it that way, and I will do my best to help in anything you need. But you're always welcome. Always. And no hard feelings on my end, and no hard feelings on yours. I love you, Sam.
You too.
And
Love
go from there.
I guess I just want to repeat that and clarify. When I stopped going to church, my ministering brother asked, I don't think he asked me, maybe I wasn't available or something, but asked Sarah, hey, what's Sam's feeling on ministering visits? And I had expressed, no thank you. Like, I'm my ministering brother, happy to have continue to interact with me as a friend, but I don't want it to be an assignment or a ministering brother kind of thing. And I don't know if there was a misunderstanding, miscommunication, but there's been like nearly zero interaction since that message was received by him. So that's not what I'm saying. It's not that I don't want any interaction or anything. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, that makes sense to you. It makes sense to me. And you'll let your members know. I mean, we will probably tell them. I mean, they're going to ask. I mean, we're going to tell them he is no longer a member of the church, and that's going to be hard to not.
And warn them to, if he's an apostate, warn them to stay away.
No,
I know that's in the handbook as well, and
No,
that is one of the
that's
outcomes that
no,
comes
and
from.
like I told you tonight, that's not why. And we have admitted that you have your opinion, I have mine. We have our opinions, you have yours. Your definition of truth versus mine is different. And so your membership is being withdrawn because you want it to be. And that's what we're doing. And we'll tell them simply, he's no longer a member. You can hang out with him, you can do whatever you want, but he's no longer a member. And that we'll go from there. Does that make sense? Okay. Enjoy whatever rest of the night you have. We appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you guys coming.
Oh, go ahead and have a prayer, and then remind him of the right to.
Oh yeah, let's see. He keeps me in mind. You do have the right to contest. For 30 days, you can contest. If it does get contested, it'll go to the First Presidency. So if you want this to go to them, your choice. You can do that. And then, do we want to close with a prayer?
Yeah, let's close with the
Are
prayer.
you guys okay with that? Comfortable with that?
Of course.
Okay. Who would like to pray? Any volunteers? Just wanted to see if anyone from Pinson family wanted to. And then, so, Bishop, would you pray?
Absolutely. Our eternal Father in heaven, we humbly bow our heads this day and give you thanks for all of our many blessings. We're thankful for friendship. We're thankful for the love which we have felt tonight. We're thankful for the Pinson family and our association and friendship with them. We ask you to please bless them with health and strength, bless their family with love and kindness, and bless them that they will be able to continue on this close, tight-knit journey that they have within their family, that they are friends, that they are close with each other, and that they support and love each other. We're grateful to thee, Father, for the teachings of thy Son, Jesus Christ. We acknowledge him as our Savior and Redeemer, and are thankful that he came to this earth to teach us about love and kindness and friendship. And we ask thee to please help us that we may do our best as we strive to follow thee and thy Son. And this we humbly pray and ask and do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.